Imagine a sunny, crisp day suddenly turning into a scene from a horror movie. A towering wave, not of water but of thick, dark molasses, rushes through a bustling city street. This isn't fiction. This happened in Boston in 1919, in an event so surreal yet so devastating that it claimed 21 lives and injured 150 others. The Great Molasses Flood is a stark reminder of industrial negligence and its potential for disaster. In early 20th century Boston, the North End was a bustling neighborhood, alive with the daily hustle of its residents. At its heart stood a massive tank, over 50 feet tall and filled with molasses, owned by the U.S. Industrial Alcohol Corporation. This molasses wasn't for sweets. It was destined for industrial alcohol, crucial for munitions. The tank was a familiar part of the landscape, yet it was poorly constructed, a fact overlooked by those who passed by daily. Complaints about leaks and strange noises were common, but the urgency of war production overshadowed safety concerns, setting the stage for one of the most bizarre disasters in American history. January 15, 1919, began like any other winter day in Boston's North End. However, the structural weaknesses of the molasses tank, filled to near capacity, were about to give way. When it burst, the tank unleashed a 15-foot high wave of molasses, traveling at 35 miles per hour. The wave demolished everything in its path. Homes, businesses, even a train trestle were laid to waste. The air was filled with the sweet, cloying scent of molasses, a stark contrast to the chaos on the streets. The environmental aftermath was severe, with molasses seeping into the soil and waterways, a sticky reminder of the disaster. The flood claimed 21 lives, each a tragic story of life cut short unexpectedly. Among the victims was a group of firefighters, caught off guard by the wave while responding to a false alarm. The community was left reeling, families broken, and a neighborhood in mourning. Survivors spoke of the air thick with molasses, making breathing difficult, and the ground like quicksand, hindering escape. The personal losses transcended the immediate chaos, echoing through the community for years to come. First responders faced an unprecedented challenge, rescuing people trapped in a sea of thick, sticky molasses. Traditional rescue methods were inadequate. Boats and hoses were deployed to break through the molasses and reach victims. The response efforts were hampered by the viscous nature of molasses, which cooled and thickened with the winter air, making quick rescues critical. The heroism of these responders is a poignant chapter in the saga of the Molasses Flood. Initially, there was speculation of sabotage, a reflection of the wartime paranoia of the era. However, subsequent investigations revealed the truth: gross negligence in the tank's construction. The steel used was too thin, and proper testing procedures were ignored in the rush to put the tank into service. This revelation led to outrage as the public realized the disaster could have been prevented. The findings were a damning indictment of the U.S. Industrial Alcohol Corporation's disregard for safety. The aftermath of the flood saw a slew of lawsuits against the U.S. Industrial Alcohol Corporation. The legal battles were lengthy and complex, but ultimately, they led to significant compensation for the victims' families, although no amount could truly compensate for the loss of life. This legal outcome spurred changes in industrial safety regulations, with stricter oversight and enforcement introduced to prevent such disasters from recurring. The social impact was profound, fostering a greater public awareness of industrial safety and corporate responsibility. Scientists later analyzed how the physical properties of molasses contributed to the disaster's severity. Molasses is particularly viscous, which means it can flow heavily and with great force, especially when contained under pressure. The environmental conditions on the day of the disaster, particularly the temperature, played a critical role. The cold winter air caused the spilled molasses to thicken quickly, exacerbating the difficulty of rescue efforts and increasing the flood's destructiveness. The flood had significant economic repercussions for Boston. The cleanup alone was costly and labor-intensive, disrupting local businesses and the overall economy of the North End. The U.S. Industrial Alcohol Corporation faced financial ruin, with the disaster compounding the losses from legal settlements. The broader economic impact included a reevaluation of industrial practices, with companies across the country urged to reassess their safety measures to avoid similar incidents, affecting industry-wide financial and operational practices. Media coverage of the Molasses Flood was widespread and sensational, highlighting the bizarre nature of the disaster. Newspapers and magazines played a crucial role in shaping public perception, which swung from disbelief to outrage as the facts of the case emerged. The public reaction was one of shock and anger, particularly as the details of the company's negligence came to light. This disaster became a rallying point for advocating for better industrial regulations and safety practices. Today, the Great Molasses Flood is remembered as a pivotal moment in Boston's history. The city has commemorated the event through memorials and educational panels, ensuring that the lessons and legacies of the flood are not forgotten. These efforts serve not only as a tribute to those lost, but also as an educational tool for current generations, emphasizing the importance of civic responsibility and industrial safety. And the flood left an indelible mark on industrial safety legislation. It led to stricter regulations and enforcement, with industries required to adhere to higher standards in construction and maintenance of industrial facilities. The disaster is studied in engineering ethics and safety courses, serving as a grim reminder and a call to action to ensure such negligence is never repeated. The Molasses Flood is often compared to other industrial disasters, such as the Bhopal gas tragedy or the Chernobyl disaster. While each of these events has unique factors, they all share themes of poor planning, inadequate safety protocols, and the devastating impact of industrial negligence. These comparisons not only highlight recurring themes, but also reinforce the global need for stringent safety standards. The Great Molasses Flood has permeated American culture, appearing in literature, songs, and local lore. It serves as a metaphor in political discourse and cultural commentary, symbolizing the potential consequences of negligence and the fragility of life. This cultural resonance underscores the profound impact the disaster has had on American consciousness, shaping perceptions of safety and corporate accountability. The Great Molasses Flood remains one of the most bizarre and tragic events in American history. It serves as a crucial lesson in the importance of safety regulations and the potential human cost of negligence. As we remember the lives lost and affected, we must continue to advocate for safety and vigilance to prevent future disasters. This event, sticky and dark as molasses, must never be forgotten, for the sake of past and future generations.